Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is the 20th. Oh my gosh. The camera is broken. Oh, wait, let's fix it. We can fix this. We can fix this. Activate. Well, the camera. That's weird. Let's just try this. Surely we're here. No. Well, that is no good, folks. It's okay. We'll figure it out. To the charts. I changed my workspace today. Yesterday, because I felt like I was missing a lot of things that I had before. I had a really hard time figuring out what was going on that last move, and when I looked at it after the markets, I realized that there was a lot of dollar devaluation going on, and so I added all these things down in here so that I could get a better macro picture here. So you can see these currencies are moving up, and as they do, well, not today, but yesterday, as we were moving up, they were moving up in, here we go, moving up in all the currencies, and we're moving up in the E-mini. So here's our chart. Yes, pretty big up there, a bit of a head and shoulders. I don't know if it's going to collapse or if it's real head and shoulders, but that's where we're at. Media has already decided that we're going to sell today. I woke up, the first thing that I saw was down X 100 points after 2-day rally. Okay. ZN was up overnight pretty significantly too, but still hitting up against that resistance. I don't know if we're going to go higher or lower. This is kind of really a range, and it's difficult for me to predict where we're going to go, although there is more volume at 137.19. Yep. All right, so what the hell is wrong with the camera? Did I break it? Must have broken it. I've been using it for Zoom, and I'm wondering if that's why. Properties. Oh, that's so weird. Like, I don't get any video at all. Let's try unplugging the camera. Dun dun dun. Bum bum bum. Properties. Deactivate. Ha. Oh, you got that pink thing going on. There we go. Man. See, that was going to bother me all stream if we did not fix that. Okay, so now next thing is I disappointing announcement. Not going to be using the text-to-speech today because I want to run a stream later today where I work on the text-to-speech thing, and I'm going to need the requests for that. So we're not going to be using the text-to-speech thing this morning so that we can save our limited number of Google requests for later in the day. But we'll stream later in the day and work on that. Maybe mess around. So you can come in later for that. What we got here? Yeah, John showed me this infographic that I quite enjoyed. It was well researched, showing where all of the stimulus is going here. So a lot to, well, everybody got a little bit. It was actually pretty equal across, but I think how much each got is kind of irrelevant. It's just the amount of money that's coming out, man. It's just crazy. Crazy. Well, equities are pretty strongly up at the moment. There's ES is going. Where you're in an area where there's been a lot of trade. All right, so we just got some numbers here. Core PCE price index, spot 2 versus spot 1. Year over year, that's 1 spot 8 versus 1 spot 6. So actually a little bit more inflation than expected. E-mini's moving up on that. That's interesting. Personal income month over month, spot 6 versus a spot 4. That's interesting. And personal spending hasn't decreased yet. Wow. Yeah, that's going to make the equities move a little bit, but I don't know. What if we get the same thing that we had yesterday, but like the opposite? Boris Johnson, by the way, has coronavirus. Did you hear that one? Now, the media loves to say world leader X has coronavirus. Like it freaking matters, guys. Come on. Well, I could maybe take this short, actually. When I look at the average over a longer time period, I can see things are roughly equal. They sure did look like they overextended at the top. Guess I should eat a little bit here. Okay, so it just hit there. We are getting enough imbalance to maybe take it, but let's hit this right here. See, we're getting here. I'm seeing a little bit of a bounce. Yeah, see that? Maybe if we took 47. Oh wait, we didn't want to do that. Hold the boat. I still had myself on a big lots. Well, thank you, sir. Yeah, a little bit of pushback. I'd say that's healthy, if not annoying as a. Oh man, well that sucks. 200 there. Trading 200s in the micros. That is a little weird. Yeah, you're going to test the upside of this. Interestingly enough, though, volume was on the bottom. Ouch. Note that the treasuries are still churning up through all this. Bouncing again. Look at that 220 again. That might kind of change the calculations on me. Hold on. I need to do something here. Push right here. Yeah. Let's see here. Can I do like a dark cyan? Dark cyan and really dark grayish pink color. What would be a really good desaturated deep pink maybe? Yeah. Okay. Back down. The volume is down at 2547. Isn't that interesting? They sure are fighting it, though. I have to say, probably then on this one, if it turns out, Jerry's awake. Good morning. How are you? Yeah, I should say again, I'm not using the text to speech this morning because we want to develop with it later today. But I want to try and read all your messages. Hopefully this. Oh, it's not working. Oh well. It's telling me short again. So I think I should just let it run. Let it run. Just let it run. Hmm. Hmm. I see the headlines are expecting us to go down today. That was the first thing I mentioned was it was like, the media has already decided that we're going to sell today. It was a little premature, I thought. How did the baby sleep? I didn't notice anything unusual last night, so I assume they must have done pretty okay. I'm going to finish eating this. I waited until your mouth was full to ask you all those questions. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay. Well, I'm noticing, I mean, this is going our way. It's super slow, though. Like, the rush is up, or a lot faster. But I have found, um, kind of depending on how they do it, that that can be a good thing. Like, when it's really slowly going your way. Because that could mean that there's some smart guys on the short side, and they're really patient, and they really want to get as much out of it as they can, so they're absorbing the orders up. I was reading a few months ago about industrial demand, silver, basically the shavings and how they can be used. I need to pay some more attention to this again. Oh, that's interesting. I saw a video about a lab that makes platinum, and they different things. I think the main thing that they were doing with it was making platinum wire that was used for semiconductor applications. Like you use that as a substrate to create some sort of chemical change in a large fat, and even the dust was, like, valuable. So, like, when you would left the lab, they had to, like, put their feet on this brush, and it would, like, vacuum all of the platinum off of their feet, and they saved a lot of material from doing that. That's how valuable the platinum was. See, here we come down again, a little bit of support, but it's been like this almost every step of the way. That was a little bit more aggressive of a drop. Mm-mm-mm. And the treasuries are moving up with it. I'm just noticing looking at my spreads here, what I was saying in Discord. Um, well, I'll show you. So I got all this stuff over here. If you look in these two charts, I need the pen. I need the pen. So I added a bunch of charts on here because I felt like I was missing out on the macro picture, and so I added a lot of stuff that I had before and tried to make it easy to see everything. So here's the 10 and 30, and here's the 5 and 10. And so they're buying the 10 and selling the 30. They're selling the 5 and buying the 10. So the 10 is seeing more movement, relatively speaking, than the other two within the spreads, which kind of indicates to me spreading. Also, here the 6E is going down. What about the 6J? We should make sure that's all the way over there. Oil is going down, and gold is going down. So, like, literally all the assets are falling. That's a little concerning. Okay, what was Win saying? There's a document on the Silver Institute page. I'll take a look at this today and report back with questions, and I have a Mexican stock to ask you about later. Yeah, let's do that a little later. What's going on with your weights you ordered? I looked on Amazon, and their delivery system is slammed. They're supposed to be here on Monday. I'm so excited. I really am pumped. I don't know. So, like, there's days like yesterday, man, I shouldn't have eaten a Pop Tart. I've been trying to avoid sugar, okay? But Overall, my digestive system has not been too happy the past 2 days. I kind of think that maybe a little bit of my frustration yesterday was my gut being upset because later that day, man, I took a nap during lunch, and then I didn't nap later, but I had no problem falling asleep. Slept pretty heavy. I thought, wow, look at that, 3,000. That's funny. You see, like a 3K order at 060 is like insanity. Like total insanity. And 2 months ago, that was just at every level. Jerry says you stress yourself out. I mean, probably I do too much. But when you think about yesterday, I mean, hey, obviously I missed a strong uptrend day and I fought it, and that is always a reason to be very frustrated at myself. But it's all sim orders, like, it's okay, and you guys are just trying to help. It really, I mean, on one hand, I did kinda say, "Well, I'm kind of, exaggerating how I'm feeling so that you guys get a better idea of what's going on here and learn something from it that sometimes you're just gonna suck at trading." Um, but then on the other hand, was way more stressed about it than I think I should. What kind of fats do you include in your diet? There's a great doctor online who you should really check out. We need healthy fats in our diet. Well, I always cook my eggs that I eat in the morning in olive oil. So that's and then try to eat nuts every day. I haven't really had almonds lately. And 25.25, that low of the day is awfully close. Now, they've hit into the '06 and they've actually taken some of it. Now that is really interesting to me. Is it the case that somebody decided they want out and they were willing to show all of it because they knew that somebody was out there willing to buy it all? Because I mean, it looks like that they're buying it, and it looks like overall the treasuries are moving up. Okay, so now we're getting a little bit of a turn. Should pay attention here. 150 might be okay. I'm gonna be surprised. I shouldn't say surprised because I'm already kind of expecting it, but I'm gonna be a little disappointed if they don't go down and break the overnight low. Hmm. Okay. Motivational doc Alan Mandel is a cool guy, and he will give you a few 3 to 5 minute videos that will help you breathe better, understand your diet, and he does ADHD videos. Oh, that's interesting. I think that my diet could be better. Well, like yesterday, let's see here. What did I add? A bagel and bacon and yogurt for breakfast. I don't think that was enough. I was gonna have a bagel sandwich this morning, and then we didn't have the Asiago bagels. I thought that we had, plenty left, but apparently the kids ate them all. So, so I today I had 2 eggs and bacon and hash browns and the Pop Tart. So I felt like I needed a little bit more, but then I realized, oh, Pop Tarts have sugar. I shouldn't have done that. Oops. And then yesterday, what did I have for lunch? Oh, for lunch I ate hamburger helper. See, that's not very healthy. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's anything in it that's particularly bad, but it's just like a lot of carbs and a lot of calories. Um, And then for dinner, we had orange chicken. So, I don't know if I'm doing so good trying to avoid just the sugar. I don't think that explains why my gut was so inflamed yesterday, though. I'm sure it's probably pretty inflamed. Like, I'll just show you. Not super, not super attractive, but like this, if I come like this, kind of see my stomach here. It kind of comes out right there. Like that's the inflammation. Yeah, you can see my stomach at my lower stomach protruding out from the inflammation. So I can actually I wonder if I can measure it, if it measures differently. Uzi, wow, Boris Johnson tests positive for COVID. That one's. I find it so weird. Well, I don't know. It's not weird. It should be expected, but I just think it's so silly that the media cares so much when a leader gets COVID. Let's not call it COVID. COVID. That's racist. Yeah, and let me explain to you how this is racist, okay? COVID, that that sounds like corvid, which is a type of crow, and crows are black, and crows have been used to depict black people in racist caricatures in Disney movies. Ergo, the term COVID, that's racist. Don't use it. We can only call it what? The coronavirus. Coronavirus. Oh Lord. I thought you'd get a kick of that. Hey gang, let's body shame Seth. Hey, you know what? You can try. I'm pretty happy with my body. I'm just I really hate the inflammation. I feel like that my colon inflammation holds me back a lot from being my best, especially when it comes to weightlifting. I didn't go to the gym yesterday because I just did not feel like I had a whole lot of energy. Because like when you have inflammation in your body, it kind of makes you tired and it kind of makes you pull back a little bit. But when you have inflammation in your colon, your body takes it really, really seriously. So it can really affect you. I can't body shame Seth. He's thinner than me. Yeah, I got a weird metabolism, man. We just I don't put fat on. Even when I was fat, I wasn't had nothing on me. Okay, so they're kind of trending down again. I mean, they came up a little bit, but it didn't. I don't even think it gave me a ding, did it? Did it give us a long? Oh, it did give us a little bit of a long. But our larger time frame is still kind of down, so I don't think that I can take it. I don't think so. This SMA needs to be moved. No, wrong series. There we go. There we go. All right. That's the point. It's like when a skinny woman says, "I'm so fat from what peanut I ate." Lol. Yeah. Well, I just pointed out because um it really gives you an idea of how serious. Because I mean, you can visibly see the bulge, and it's kind of weird because then when you get down into the pelvis area, there's like nothing there on me, no fat down there. Okay. Looks like they're gonna push a little bit lower. Let's see if they make it down to is this the overnight? Is this the session low? Yeah, they're gonna take some session lows. My heart is beating a little bit. I don't know if that's from in there or the trade's doing well and it makes me nervous or what. try and calm down a little bit. I should pop you guys, pop chat out like that so we can see Twitter. UK Health Secretary tests positive for coronavirus. Oh, all those London traders, they're going to sell it. G20 committed $5 trillion of... Wait, really? Is that just like they made a deal, or is that like between all of them? And I'm reading about the colon now. Do you have polyps? No, I have. I can get ulcers, colon ulcers, essentially. It's never gotten too bad, but that's the condition, is ulcerative colitis. So it's like an autoimmune issue where your body is fighting something in the lining of your colon, and it can cause ulcers. So my I haven't gotten any polyps. I had a colonoscopy fairly recently too, if you recall. And they said that it looked really, really good, and that the condition is being managed really well. But every once in a while, I just get tired. And yesterday, I was just like, oh, I can't. So I'm excited to have the workout equipment here, because then I can sit down and I can be like, yeah, well, I don't have to travel all the way down to San Diego. I can just be at home. I can work out as much as I feel like I need to. Okay, so I don't think that they really went through there, did they? I think they equaled it. Yeah. Yeah, they equaled it, but they didn't completely go through. Excuse me. One take short. There, that's a little better. They're like, just for you, Seth. Thank you. They must be feeling bad for me today. Bank of Canada lowers benchmark overnight rate to 0.25%. People saying Donnie might be on Twitter. Donnie might be in a world of hurt as this progresses. His decision or indication to open up economy will backfire. Attempts to save stock market for election will lead to higher mortality numbers. You know what? That's I keep seeing this. I don't know, man. I'm opening a can of worms here, but I feel a little crazy, because when I look at what I see out there, and then I see what other people in Utah think, they are not in line. And I think most of you guys tend to agree with me on that this situation is pretty dangerous and everything. Okay, that was an actual long, but man, people here in Utah do not believe it. That doesn't mean that they're not staying inside. I think that generally they're doing pretty good. There was that highly publicized incident where missionaries were being picked up at the airport, but that was actually the airport's fault. But overall, people in Utah, they're following it, but they don't really think that anything's going to happen. And I feel like everybody's a little crazy right now, and I see so many comments and stuff about the things that seem like they come from a bizarre political mindset and not any evidence, Like, Donald Trump has not made the decision to open up the economy. He's thrown out trial balloons, but they haven't made any decision. I don't think that they're going to make any decision until Monday. Buffer for just a bit. Oh, I think we're okay. I did miss a few frames. We've been doing better on that, though. Seth, what don't you have wrong with you? Laughing hard. Yeah. I heard the Mormon Church banned the entry of... Well, what happened was they recalled all of their missionaries, which is just absolutely crazy. but they recalled a lot of missionaries. I don't know if it was all of them. And they're going to quarantine them here for a bit, and then I think they're going to send them back out to other places in the United States. It's really weird. When they were coming back, the families could go out to meet them, and the airport said that they were gonna like line everybody up so that it would be a neat entry and stuff. But instead, when the people got out of their cars to get in the line, the airport herded them all into a huge crowd, and then the missionaries had to wade through the crowd to find their families. And so this was publicized as, oh, the LDS families are spreading the coronavirus, and guys, you're not taking this seriously and everything. But it was actually the airport's fault. It was an interesting story. Interesting story to me because of how that turned out. That the media read it this way, and then when you actually dug down and found out what actually happened, it was all the airport's fault. Yeah, this looks awfully heavy, guys. Like what there was a potential long there. I don't think I would have taken that one because we were red, and my larger trend is down, but it just bounced right back down. Yeah, what's not wrong with you? Jeez. Thanks, Gary. I just feel like I'm probably, because of the trading and my personality type, I'm a little bit more introspective than other people. And we're in a situation where uh, we're in the fog of war, you know? Like, I think we've talked about this before, but one of the things that I was reading about, I saw, there's this great YouTube channel, Smarter Every Day. I'm sure you've seen that. And there's one episode where he talks about intelligence and counterintelligence. That seems to be something that he's really interested in because he worked for the military, and he was talking about talking to this military guy, and he was explaining that when you have a war, that there's very much the disinformation war, and that the United States is confident during a disinformation war like that because they give their population a high degree of autonomy. And so when you're in a confusing situation like that, we're able to handle it correctly and do the right thing. And it seems to me like right now we're seeing that. For whatever reason, the fog is being applied probably by foreign governments, but also maybe just because that's just how people behave online. And um a lot of people don't think that the coronavirus is serious. And how am I supposed to know? Like, you hear this model says that X is going to happen, and then they revise the model, and then everybody says that that's crazy. And then my own look at it says that the model is probably a little excessive because they were saying like 2 million people in the US was going to die. Probably not going to happen. But I'm not a virologist. And it seems like even the virologist doesn't really know. So what are you supposed to think? Right? I sit and I say, I don't really know. But the thing that messes with me is that everybody else seems so sure that they know what's going to happen. How can you guys all be so sure? You don't know. How can anybody know? We call this psyops. You should see the Superman comic books I have in every language. We fly overhead and drop those books to children happily. The propaganda is helpful, kind, and well intentioned. Well, it's definitely psyops. So I don't understand. It seems pretty clear to me that China and Russia are spreading disinformation about the coronavirus. I'm not particularly sure why, other than that they just want to weaken the United States. But man, but we're obviously it's a situation where even the president of the United States isn't sure if shutting everything down is the right call or not. You know what I mean? Mm-mm. There was the study from the UK, the Imperial. I don't know. Anyways, these guys are like the best virologists in the world in terms of modeling these sorts of things. And they said that based on the number of healthy people that catch it and get hospitalized, and the spread of it, that like 500,000 people were going to die in the UK and 2 million people were going to die in the United States unless we implemented social distancing measures. And so they did. And yesterday, the story was that they revised their numbers. And so everybody was saying, oh, it's not nearly as bad and it's only going to be like a regular flu. But then the guy that authored this study came out on Twitter and said, you guys are all misinterpreting the thing, because what we're saying is that because we implemented the social distancing measures, they're being so effective that the UK is going to have enough hospital beds to handle everybody. And there's not going to be a disaster, largely because of the social distancing measure. But the revision also kind of was said, he said that the numbers were actually kind of worse because they were revising and saying that the virus is spreads much faster than we thought. So I saw a lot of stuff yesterday about, oh, you see, it's not so bad, or it is so bad, and I'm just like checking out, like I don't know. If you Google TED Talks, Bill Gates in 2015 gave a talk about what to expect when this happens. The Obama administration ran drills with the incoming administration, and Trump knew this. Yeah, well, they did know this. So I'll address that in a second. Serious question, Seth. Have missionaries been to North Korea? No, they have not. They're not allowed in. Mormon missionaries aren't allowed in communist countries usually, or Muslim countries. The leaders won't allow them in. Okay, so here's the thing. There's been some misinformation about what the administration has done for serious virus responses. Like one of the things is that they said that they disbanded the task forces. I think the thing that you were talking about. Oh, well, you didn't say that, but you were hinting at it. But apparently they didn't. What they did is the task force still exists. It's just it was reorganized into a different organization. And some people quit because they were older. They were holdovers from the other administration, but they still did that. And I think that the administration actually did have a lot of information. Like, for instance, the United States went into social distancing measures relative to how long it had been since the first 10 deaths, much faster than any other country. Despite that, we have a really high trajectory, and that's because of the population density and other things about the United States. We're on the same trajectory and possibly have exceeded the trajectory of Italy based on their numbers. We know what to expect, and it's not good. They disbanded the task force, Trump says. They didn't disband the task force. I can... Oh, wait. Can I search for it? I can source that. There's articles on Red State that totally debunk all of those. I can't find it easily. Oh, here's one. Here we go. Trump dissolved the White House Pandemic Response Office. 2 days after Trump declared the coronavirus a national emergency, the Washington Post ran an opinion piece by Elizabeth Cameron, who ran the White House Pandemic Office under Obama, alleging that Trump had dissolved the office in 2018. She claimed because of this, the federal government's slow response to the coronavirus isn't a surprise. This claim spread like wildfire, even though it was completely false. Days after the Washington Post piece ran, they published another article by Tim Morrison, former security director for counter-proliferation and biodefense, on the National Security Council, who debunked the allegation made by Cameron and other former Obama administrations. And there's a link to it here. I got it on PJ Media. I know that that's not like an unbiased source or anything like that, but there's the one. Anyways, it's more complicated than that. So when we talk about the United States slow response, first of all, they implemented social distancing measures much faster than almost anybody else. But I think that the place where the administration has been criticized is because of testing. And there was two problems with testing. Okay. The first one was that we had a national testing lab. So uh, all of the tests are supposed to be done by this national testing lab, and any other lab that's going to do it has to become certified and accredited. So when it came out that we needed to do all of this testing, and the national lab obviously couldn't handle that much volume, they realized that they had this regulation in place that prevented other labs that totally had the supplies and were willing to do it from doing the testing. So they had to very quickly go in, change the law, make it easier for them to accredit those things and make it so that all these different places could do the test. So that was the first problem. But then the second problem is that we don't have the supplies. So other countries, they got hit hard by SARS, and so they had already accumulated a lot of supplies. So like when you do a test, you have to do some things to like chemicals that attach to the DNA so that you can separate it from the rest of the stuff and pull it out and then sequence the DNA and see if it's that virus. That's how they do it. It's like DNA sequencing the RNA of the virus. So you need substrates and these chemicals. And the United States simply doesn't have a whole lot of those chemicals. And a lot of that stuff is, guess what, developed in China. So we're having a hard time getting it. So that is the real reason why the United States response, quote unquote, has been so slow, is because we haven't been very good at testing, and that's not the administration's fault. Another problem is that, for instance, masks, and a lot of masks that we used during the swine flu, and then the government didn't replenish them. I guess you could blame that on Obama, but I guess the whole thing is that um, in any disaster you're going to find places where you're well prepared and where you're not well prepared, and there was a lot of places where the United States were not well prepared. I'm sure that they will fix these for next time around, but that's just the nature of the beast. We're way too critical. mm, United States 85 cases, China 83 cases. I think China is missing a one in front of that 8. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. I totally I think that it's uh, I think that you have to assume that the United States is going to have more cases than anybody else. We're just bigger than anybody else for starters, and we have higher population density than anybody else. Hey, good morning, Ace. How are you? Oh, we still got 10 minutes to the open. I just took a short. I actually screwed it up. I took it with more contracts than I wanted to, and I scaled it back to 1. And I've just been trying to let this one run because the way this trend has been coming, seems like we could. I mean, it's giving me the long again, but I'm ignoring that one. Even though this one, I think maybe you could potentially take. I mean, the 10-minute candle is blue, but my longer time frame is still down. How many points? Oh, that's a good question. Where did I take it at? I took it at 47, so I've made over 20 points. Almost 30 points, right? Yeah, 47 minus 17. Oh, I guess that's 20 points. China has 1.4 billion. US has 340 million. Are you using that liberal math? No, 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 no. But I mean, in China, it didn't spread through the whole country. It was just like that one province. In the United States, it's going to be everywhere. Like 70% of the country is probably going to get it. So I think that, and we're not going to impose the kind of measures that China did. So I think that you kind of have to assume that there's going to be more cases than China. There's going to be more deaths in China. People are going to try and misconstrue that to say that like it's Donald Trump's fault, when probably a lot of it is unavoidable. You know. Now, well, I mean, we could have stopped it with better travel ban, or maybe if China had told us earlier. but yeah, there's gonna be a lot. The question is, yeah, how much. It seems to me that the social distancing helps a lot. That one might actually be along here, but we'll see. See, that one is definitely more. What is it? More encouraging on the long side than the last ones. It's still pretty close to the E-mini open, and I'm sure that there's going to be people trying to sell on the open. So I don't think it's a huge deal. Yeah, I think that the theory on holding this is that we could get a lot more downside on the open. And I think that they're going to want to test at least 2,500. There'll probably be a lot of drama before that, though. Anyways, the thing that I'm looking at is hospitalizations. It drives me nuts because, like, when you go to a dashboard, they only care about number of cases, number of deaths, and I really think that hospitalizations is the number that everybody should be focused on. We will hit 1 million cases worldwide, US 500K when we test more individuals. All estimates, of course. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear at this point that the virus is much more. Oh, I'm getting a small aftershock earthquake. It's just small. I don't think I need to get under the desk. Just a small aftershock there. Probably a 3 or a 4. It's shaking a little bit. Now I'm wondering if it's actually shaking or if that's just my blood going. Didn't feel anything. Yeah, the mountains between us kind of dampen it. This is a long earthquake. It's still going. There's definitely. Okay, stop. Its that Trump isn't more proactive on shutting the country down, trying to keep things open on a state by state basis, going to do more harm than good. Well, so here's another thing that I kind of disagree with. I really think that it should be up to the state and the governor, and I think that they can make their own decisions. Man, I'm still feeling stuff. Is this just my leg? I don't know. Maybe it's just the blood. Because some states really don't have cases, guys. Like, there are a lot of states they don't need a shelter-in-place order. Like in Utah, there's not enough cases to justify a shelter-in-place order. I don't think. But then, what were you going to say, Uzi? Look at New York. New York City Health Commissioner was encouraging people to pile in the streets to celebrate the Lunar New Year. Yeah, New York made some mistakes. I don't know. The whole thing in New York is weird because they're saying that they're going to have like 190,000 cases and they want all of the equipment, everything, and I'm like, okay, yeah, but what about the rest of us if it gets that bad everywhere else, you know? Nothing as interesting as Seth's aftershocks. Oh, tomorrow is your son's birthday. Might bake him some brownies. He's not crazy about cake. Oh. She called warnings about coronavirus misinformation. Was she really that dramatic about it? I did not know. Are you okay? Need to check on everyone, and maybe you shouldn't title this video "Earthquake." You got 17K views, but something wonky happened. Yeah. Well, you know what? The funny thing is I still get a ton of views, and every time that there's aftershocks and people go searching for it, then they see my video. So it's working out. I am still disappointed that we get shadow banned from search, but what you gonna do? We're still getting the same number of views that we were getting before all of the market crisis stuff. So, yeah, man, her tweet is still up. Really surprised she didn't delete it. I keep thinking I'm feeling aftershocks, and I think that it's just my because I can feel it through the desk, but I think that I'm feeling the blood pumping through my body. 20 we're watching Seth Rock. His aftershocks. Will everyone please say like? Thank you. When? Mm-mm. Yeah. Now the funny thing is that the videos still become available to everybody after they go. So if it's a good video, I still get the replays, and that's cool. They openly defied warnings about coronavirus. Huh. Well, the media is uh, really not pointing it out, are they? I keep thinking I'm feeling an aftershock. There was definitely an aftershock, but now I keep feeling it, and I think that it's all in my head. It's making me a little. I'm a little tense just because I got this short open into the open, and I really want this to do well. And okay, yeah, Ace just took that one at 24. Okay, that was definitely an aftershock. Is there going to be like a big one? Because something's definitely happening, dude. Man. Let's see here. Utah geological, Utah emergency status, and earthquake alerts. Well, I don't see anything there. This morning's earthquakes are part of an ongoing magma sequence. The aftershock pattern has changed slightly. Okay, well, I don't see anything on Twitter about it, so maybe it really is all in my head. That was definitely earthquake. Oh my gosh. Jeez, guys. Hey, Seth, do you believe the healthcare professionals are actively trying to make the president look bad by attacking him, opening on Easter, shelter in place, etc.? Um, well, I think that the media kind of exaggerates the thing. Like Donald Trump has sent out trial balloons about wanting to be. These are trial balloons, okay? He hasn't made an official policy, and I tell you, if he does do one, he's going to say, "Hey, governors still make the decisions." I guarantee it. So the whole Easter thing, I do kind of think it's just a media headline grabbing story. Until he actually makes like a real announcement, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it. Mm-mm. Tomorrow we may try the story. I don't know if you remember what I said last year or so about how I saw March or April unfold. I was prepared. I don't know about you. When I'm dying on my deathbed, the diversity of corporate board in America is going to be the first thing on my mind. Okay, they're coming back to even here. They're going to touch it and bounce down. I can see the court shaking. I'm definitely getting. Like, it's not just. Okay. Cat turd, use this time to get out in the great outdoors. I know I am. Oh my god. So, here's another thing that drives me crazy is that a lot of people have interpreted the social distancing as that you literally shouldn't go outside. And I don't think that that's the case. You don't want to be closer than 6 feet to anybody or be touching anything you don't want to be in a public space, but like you can go outside in your backyard, guys. It's okay. Okay. So here's pretty strong opening drive by sellers. Not crazy, but okay. Okay, they let off, and here's the buying. Buyers extend on the upside. When U.S. deaths surpass Chinese numbers, who can Trump blame? Nobody. I mean, it's not Trump's fault if the U.S. deaths pass the Chinese numbers. How is that his fault? If we come in and we open everything up at Easter, and then afterwards, U.S. hospitals are reach capacity and people are dying because we have to pick and choose who we can give defibrillators to, then it's going to be Donald Trump's fault, right? But are almost certainly going to pass the Chinese numbers, and that's not necessarily going to be Donald Trump's fault. And similarly, maybe we keep these measures in place for a while and we still reach hospital capacity. That's possible too. I don't really know. Like a major league pitcher, he either wins or loses the game. Well, that's just not true. Like here's the thing, Twin Dog. Like I get where you're coming from, because people always say, president's in charge, you don't pass the buck. But when it comes to the political ramifications and like the effect that that's going to have on the election, people don't think that way, and people don't vote that way. Just as an example, there was a pretty significant storm in New York just before the election when Obama was elected. And the media didn't try to blame Obama for it, but you certainly could have blamed Obama for a lot of things, but people didn't because they understood that it was just a really strong storm, Then not only that, but it's probably one of the last things on their minds. Like if they had nominated anybody but Joe Biden, then maybe it would be a different thing. Anyways, China is underreporting the numbers. If you believe China, I have gold oil from my backyard to sell you. It only makes sense you have oil. How else are you making the big bucks? So maybe he blames the Chinese for misreporting when the United States is greater than China. I don't think so. I think that it's more widespread in the United States, and of course it's going to be higher. We can't shut down all travel. We can't set checkpoints up at all of the roads around New York and, say, and not that it would help anyways because the people all over the place have it. But he will blame China. He won't. I don't know if the focus on that Chinese faked their numbers will be such a big deal as much as it will be that China didn't tell us soon enough. They held their scientists back and lied about certain things so that the United States couldn't prepare as early. If China had been forthright, I mean, honestly, if China had done what they were supposed to do, because they knew the first case is December 1st, and we could have been implementing a lockdown mid to end December instead of like end of January when it was, right? We could have locked things down a whole month earlier. The virus probably wouldn't have even gotten into the United States. And it probably wouldn't have happened to Italy either, right? Or like, let's go back. Is the Italian prime minister responsible for what happened in Italy? Right? All of the Italian designers went to China. They didn't know, and then they brought it back and they had already spread it. It was too late. There was nothing they could do. And they have, I think they're I don't know, some people pretend like Italy is like a third world country or something, which that's not the case. Good morning, Lucas. How are you? Okay, so there was like that really strong short opening drive. Since then, it's just kind of been bouncing around, and I haven't really seen an incredibly strong move from anybody. And the cumulative delta has kind of evened out. Everything looks incredibly neutral right now. Lots. Good morning. How are you, John? How are you? By the way, did you get the updated version of the chart style? Was um I mean, I didn't change any of the functionality per se, but it fixed a lot of things. Like there was this issue where like the wicks couldn't be dots. It fixed that. So it is better. And you can change the color of the wicks based on if it's an up or down. I still haven't added shading to the high-low section of it. I don't know if I want to. I don't think that anybody's going to use it like that. I saw I haven't downloaded it. Okay, cool. I gotta have at least one other person try it before I start like posting it in the downloads or something, Okay, so they're a pretty strong up move. Coming back, we'll see if they find support and can keep pushing. Well, so far it looks okay. China's been underreporting all their GDP numbers for decades. I track that Chinese egg roll poo. China cheats in every way, shape, or form. Yeah, well, that's true. Well, you know what? One of the things that I was reading about, or that people on Reddit were really uppity about yesterday, was that in the United States they're underreporting. They're saying, oh, I know in my county that 3 people died of coronavirus, and it hasn't been reported as coronavirus, and or other people saying that they weren't putting it as coronavirus, they were just putting it as pneumonia. And there was a lot of concern that red states would underreport to try and make it seem like that it wasn't a thing. But this is just where I go back to this thing where it's like, the real argument here is how bad is it going to be, isn't it? Really, when it all comes down to it, the real question is how many people in the United States are going to die from this? Is it going to be like a bad flu season, 20,000? Or is it going to be like a really bad, like, some people are saying it's worse than the Spanish flu. There's going to be hundreds of thousands. And there's a lot of expert models that say that it's going to be in the hundreds of thousands. In fact, just my own estimate in New York, if they're correct about the number of hospitalizations that they're going to have, and you extrapolate the death rates on people that do get treatment versus when you run out of hospital space, what the death rate goes up to, and you're talking about 10,000 people just in New York, right? That's the real argument. And I don't know. Are you a virologist? How can anybody know? And I kind of wonder because yesterday we were just up so much, and there was that story about, oh, the UK will have enough beds, and I was kind of wondering like maybe that's a big part of why they were up. But then by the end of the day, all of the stuff that I was reading was how bad it's going to be in a week or two again. And then all of my friends, they don't. I had one friend, her husband is an anesthesiologist. So she said that they've been working like longer hours and stuff, but like they got nobody in there yet because it really hasn't hit Utah. It really hasn't hit Utah. And she said nothing's going to happen. I'm like, how can you, like, that goes against everything that I've been told? But then I go back and I look at it and I'm like, well, there's people saying lots of things. And how can you trust one or the other? All of them claim to be experts. It's just noise. It's so confusing. And it makes me, like I said, it kind of makes me feel a little crazy because everybody else seems to be so sure they know what's going to happen and I don't. I feel clueless. Hmm. Forex Live timing of move today was effectively dictated by strains in markets. I don't know. I still think even if you're bullish, why would you want to be long going into the weekend? Okay, Ace says short 25.34. Cool. I saw that one. I didn't get a ding on that one actually. So I'm noticing, Ace, that sometimes you will take it when the volume isn't necessarily coming down yet. So it's a little bit. So I'm noticing that my qualifications are on that particular point are maybe too strict, and maybe I should be, uh, you know, like maybe it can be even. I think it can be. I think that mine says that it can be even, but maybe if it's even up just a teeny tiny bit, it's okay. But I think that we could maybe I'm gonna do some more back testing. So I was back testing it the other day. Mm, something that you might be interested to know is that if you are just taking the 8 ticks, um, it's kind of even. It's but the thing is I was going through and I was like, okay, so what happens if instead of taking 8 ticks, I take 16 ticks? Like I give it a 16 tick stop and a 16 tick runner, or and I tried all different variations of that, and the probability always came out the same. Isn't that interesting? So the thing that gives your strategy from my backtesting so far so much edge is the propensity for your winners to run. It was really amazing, which was kind of contrary to a lot of my own experience, where I was like, I can't tell when I need to hold it and when I don't. But I think that I'm getting a better idea of that because I have these other setups that when I see those situations, it's like more likely to run. Like up at the top, I saw the volume imbalance and I said, well, they're very likely to turn back down. Yeah, 10. That was a good trade, Ace. I mean, I've held this, but that one was so fast. I've always read history and I really like disaster movies, plus my imagination runs wild. I would get serious about planning to be stuck at home for weeks, have supplies at the ready. Ace says, that is interesting. So what you're saying is I need to let them run when I can. Yes. Yes and no. So like the thing is if you take it every time. So that's the other thing was that you are taking it less often than what my backtest was. So I think that you are probably more likely to be catching the winners in general. But then, yes, there is a high propensity for them to run a certain amount. And I don't know how far that tends to be, but it's really what it is that you're running into an area of, what do you say, high uncertainty. So, like, if I just do it straight, like the most conservative thing that I can get in there, um, the win rate is like 40-45%, right? So it's that's why I was saying if you go 8-8, that you might break even if you have a really good filter and you're winning like 50% of the time. So it is like it's when you do catch the runners, they go so far. But which percentage of the time that those are runners, I can't tell, or like how do you tell when it's more likely to run? That's the real question. But that might be impossible to determine. Another thing that was interesting was I turned it up and I said, oh well, what if I do it on 5-minute bars instead of 1-minute bars, and it was actually better. So it is scalable on time frames too. Just like, oh, hmm. But I've been using some other setups to determine if it's really going to turn or not. That this one might actually be a spot that has some interest for me. Okay. So I'm noticing that the 25-15 area is kind of being defended a little bit. That is how I've been doing it. Not every time for sure. Then set up the majority of contracts to hit at 2 points and leave a runner or two on. The old days, I would move them up, break even 20. Yeah. Like you're almost guaranteed to get the 8, and then that gives you some room to let it run. And then the chances that it runs gives you some, really gives you edge. I'm moving my stop as it is running, so sometimes I'll catch 2 to 3 points, and sometimes I'll catch 4 to 5, but lost some nice big runs playing like this. Yeah. Well, you know what? So this was going back to yesterday. Oh wait, what's Gary say here? Seth, are you testing with if ATR is X ticks over X time and different sets of ATR? Then add conditions, just test one size of ticks moves isn't enough of a broad data set. You're totally right, Gary, and I think that we should go and do that analysis, but I was just doing it as like, what if I just do 8 ticks? What if I just do 16 ticks and test it over a year? It was kind of interesting. Oh, another thing that was interesting about it was that there were time periods where it performed exceptionally well, and there was time periods where it just didn't, was, lost a little bit. It was very like normally you want an equity curve like this, and it was kind of more like this. Anyways, so yesterday, one of the things that I noticed after the market was closed, because I'm like, why did they move so much? Especially on the close, there was a huge move up at the very end that really surprised me. And I'm like, what's going on? And when I started looking at the macro picture, because I didn't have all those charts up before, I realized the market moved up because a lot of dollar weakness came through. People were exiting their dollars. And that not necessarily means that they're putting it into markets, but maybe it could mean that people are expecting the United States to have a rough ride with this virus now, and it's going to become the center. That hurts the currency a little bit. And the thing is when the currency is a primary driver, you're going to see a lot more odd moves that seem to go somewhere, because what's happening is the instrument is moving based off of the correlation of another instrument, and really, really strong algorithms are what's moving it, rather than all of the overall traders and whether there's more buyers or sellers. And so that's why yesterday we had so many of those moves that seemed like it turned out of nowhere and that sort of a thing. So that's why I added these over here again, was so that I could say, okay, is it currency correlation? Then I can't rely on order flow as much. Right now, it doesn't seem like it's currency correlated. Right now, it seems like that this is the Friday play, that people don't want to be long into the weekend. So that might be one thing that might help a little bit, Lucas. Yes, if possible, try to test 3 years, 5 years, pre and post. Yeah, you're totally right, Gary. I haven't taken it that far. I just went. I really quick went and did another back test on it yesterday, because I'm like, am I crazy or? And the answer was actually just the qualifications that we have right now kind of give you a random chance of catching something. It's just that when you do catch something, it's much more likely to be a runner, which is good, which is what you want in a strategy. And then there's kind of a little bit of discretion involved in there in terms of which ones you take, and how good your filter is going to make a big difference. And yesterday, my filter wasn't very good because I didn't realize the currency correlation. I think most people out here in the West have a hunker down mentality. Most folks try to keep supplies in hand. Yeah, that's totally right. You got to realize in the West, in the Mountain West, there's very much a feeling of leave us alone. Like if the big earthquake happened in Utah, this is what I think the storyline would be. Federal government would come in and try and help, and everybody in Utah would be pissed off because they'd be interfering with the church and other local recovery efforts that are already set up. It's like everybody would feel that we're self-sufficient and wouldn't want the government to even be involved. We're getting a little bit of a significant turn. I still have things kind of pointed down, so I wouldn't, based on the filters that I'm trying to use today, I'm not sure that I could take that long. We could take it as an exit. Okay, that's interesting order flow there. It kind of looks like that the shorts got flooded there a little bit. They're still pushing though. But I thought only the good die young. No. Oh, this one, it actually is coming back really strong. Because we were talking about the overnight low, huh? And that was the spot where I really wanted it to go. I was at 17. Maybe that's where we should have taken it. There's this profile here, so that's kind of a spot that maybe it would have been a good place to take it. I'm kind of the opinion, though, that this is one we can just hold all day. Saudi Arabia, no talks with Russia on stabilizing oil markets. There have been no discussions on stabilizing oil markets between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Oil moving down this morning. When is mom going to start trading? That's a good question. So many puns, and I would love some puns with coffee and cinnamon rolls. I hear there's a run on flour and baking supplies because everyone is at home trying to outbake their boredom. I haven't seen that. When I went to the store, it was the like the baking supplies was like the only stuff left at the Walmart, at least. The regular grocery store was fine. I haven't been this week though. Hmm. Hmm. Oh my gosh, it did do it. You know what? I really wasn't paying attention there. I should have gotten out of that. In fact, I can see a short coming in here, but noticing that there was an imbalance and pattern there that was not good. Should have been paying more attention. Okay. Hmm. I don't know. Is John still there? Are you seeing these bar patterns on the 5-minute chart? 5 seconds. It's going to close down here. Okay. See, a hammer followed by a shooting star immediately afterwards is not one I have seen before or noticed before. That's a little. I think that I can hold this a little bit. Governor Cuomo will make an announcement at the Javits Center in New York City. The event begins at 11:30 a.m., 9:30 my time. So about in 90 minutes. I'm also noticing the cumulative delta is long in the E-mini. Hmm, 25, 22. Hmm. There was some volume up there at 22, 25, but it keeps coming back down. And the treasuries have just been holding this area that they're in. Oh, they did come back a good clip. Hmm, 25.18 was a 50% retracement of yesterday's low to the overnight high. Now that they've tested it on the pullback, it's decision time for them, hence the strange wicks and tails on your 5-minute chart. I see. I really, when I saw that hammer down at 25.15, I really should have gone now down there. Sorry, I missed a bunch of comments here. Yeah, shooting star started that rotation. So here's kind of an interesting question, though. I should have gone out around 25. Let's call it 25.10. Okay, around 25.10, 25.15 is a spot that I might have that I would have wanted to get out. Now that we've done that, how do I manage it from here? Because there's still a really good chance that they break out the bottom of this. Your treasury DOMs of, oh yeah, good point. That is weird. There we go. I think that Ninja was just having an issue. $25, $27 look to be the completion of that measure move lower off the pullback. Yeah. $25.17. Yeah. Well, when they came above, when I got that long back there at 25.15, I definitely should have gotten out of that one. See, now it's giving me another short, but it's really tight in here. So this is kind of where we take there's the discretion part of it. If you had really good reason to think that they're going to push lower, I think you have to manage the probability of it going further in your favor versus what you're risking to see if it goes or not. Yeah. Well, I think that I have a 55 to 60% probability that they're going to go for the low of the day again. I think, yeah, I'm in a trade. I'm on this. I've been in this trade all morning actually. Just been short from almost up from the top. So what am I risking? I'm risking everything that I made on this to double what I've made so far with a 60% probability. I mean, I think that the expectancy of that is good and I should hold it, but it's kind of more of the time risk, you know? Yeah, they're really fighting it. So maybe also that they're fighting it maybe means maybe it's not 55.60. Put there, and if it runs, how much further can it run? Are you risking that much, and how much more are you expecting to gain? Well, I think that it could go to 2,500, and then maybe a measured move beyond that, maybe to 2,500. You're right. I don't know. Macy's downgrade to junk by Fitch. They suspended the dividend, tap 500 million loan. Oh, I am getting bad. Ooh. So I have a question for you, Gary. I don't. So there was the other Rich was arguing about it in Discord. There we have a portfolio investing channel in there, and the question is, do you believe that $30 oil is the new normal, or do you think that in the next 5 years that we're pretty likely to move back up to the $50 to $100 range like we've been in? Because I was looking at maybe getting into an energy stock, but if oil stays down here at 30, that's maybe not such a great idea, you know? You do stocks? Why? You should do stocks. Don't day trade them, but at 25, I'm having a hard time here. I'm also noting that since I reset things when we crossed over to the downside, the volume is actually pretty tight. It's pretty close. Yes, I have stocks. I sell options on them. I like collecting premium. Yeah. I gathered that much. U.S. House Speaker Pelosi House will approve coronavirus economic bill on Friday. Yay. Oh, we forgot about consumer sentiment. Consumer sentiment was 89.1 versus a expected reading of 90. And inflation. Hold up. Inflation expectations 2.2 versus a previous of 2.4. Well, I don't think that the April numbers are going to be like that. So that number probably doesn't matter. On oil stocks, a better question is, do you think they will make enough progress in the electric or alternative fuel vehicles in that same 5 years? Oil will likely get to 20 or 15 next year. Oil will be around 30 to 45, 60 to 100 is really hard based on today's data and next year's estimate. Okay, so then I guess what you're saying is if I wanted to hold a stock for 5 to 10 years, it might work for oil, but this quarter and maybe even this year is not the best spot to buy. So then I'm thinking, because I do want to have an energy stock, I have a bunch of nuclear ones. So I have a list here. I'm going to go find it. I'll share with you my list. Did we touch that 27 again? I don't know, man. Is this just going to churn around all hour? No, they're trending a little bit higher. Okay. I have, well, for oil, I was looking at Phillips 66, OKE, KMI, Kinder Morgan, and maybe even Aramco. I don't even know if I could buy Aramco because that's not listed on the NYSE, right? And then for nuclear, I have BWXT, FLR, and LTBR. Those are some next generation nuclear companies. Oil stocks haven't been a very profitable trade for almost 2 years now. Yeah. Well, I was just looking at it from the perspective of like, we're getting a shock because there's too much supply out there and that this situation is unlikely to last very long. But I think that what Gary says that, we could go lower in the next year, it makes a lot of sense because if they go down that much more, I don't think you want to own the stocks when that happens. What do you think about Matrix Energy? I'll add it to the list. I have to do real research, MTRX. What was it? MXX. Okay, so there was a pretty strong up move. It broke out some absorption there. Where is it? A little bit there around 38. Huh. What's the lowest barrel price it got this week? 2054. I'm seeing some of that dollar weakness come in a little bit again. Very much so. So this is where I probably need to be aware of the crazy moves that come out of nowhere, huh? And then we broke out of that range there. Probably. Fine. All right. Well, that could have been managed a lot better, huh? Need to focus better. Okay, so I need to make a note about that on my trade checklist on the management. If it's against the trend, don't look for runners. Watch for reversal candle patterns. Okay, because we missed it. I really should have been out at 15. Feel bad about it. Well, you know what? It's better. I mean, we didn't just go awful like yesterday. Owning a very hated sector is being contrarian. I'm that I can get paid 3 to 6% to wait for price. APPR, what does that mean? To appreciate for years. Well, yeah, like I'm thinking, what is the chances that we have another like that whole Iran thing last year? What are the chances of that happening again? I say pretty high. The question is just, are you getting a good enough price? The biggest problem with owning oil company stocks is they always seem to get to a point where they need to raise more money to increase their production or revenue. Okay. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of problems with the oil sector. Remember, oil has been here before and will go up. It's just time. Well, yeah, like part of the reason why I'm thinking oil is because I just remember in 2008 what happened with oil. And then, there was a lot of reason for people to be down on it. And it ended up being a really good buy. Like when we went through that whole time period, like 2015, 2013, 2015, 2016, those really big up years, the oil stocks were some of the best performers that year. And that's where I got some of those names that I listed. Sometimes they do that by selling off assets. Sometimes they increase production by acquiring assets. Sometimes they have to go to the market and either dilute their shareholders or borrow money. Yes, CapEx has slowed tremendously. It will come back. Credit has been expensive to add more capacity. Okay, capacity extraction. Okay. So I'm not 100 because here's the thing. I'm gonna pick 4. I want to pick 4, and I can bring it over here. Here's my list. Here's all my notes on it. So I was looking at financials. Since I already own a financial, I think that I'm gonna be in on that one. Technology is always pretty good in those low interest rate markets. Energy, and then I'm also looking at consumer good, entertainment. These ones I wasn't necessarily doing medical, but like that came up so much in many of my lists that I said, sure, why not? The marijuana stocks is maybe one to pick up too, because those were a really good mover and were like way overbought and just got creamed. And maybe now is an okay time to buy one of those. Let's hear. I would the frackers for now. They will get taken out. Look at the pipeline companies. I'll send you an awesome list to take advantage of fracker, but not frackers in Discord. Yes, sure. No. Avoid cannabis. You still think it's a bad one? How long ago were those stocks you were looking at performing well? So the ones that I was looking at that were performing well, I was looking in around the 2015 time period. And the primary reason why I was looking in there was because the environment that I foresee is that we'll have low interest rates for a significant period of time. And so I want to see companies and sectors that do well with low interest rates. Okay, what just happened here in the E-mini? That doesn't give me a long, but sorry, that doesn't give me a short, but that was a little weird. Yes, avoid cannabis, too much supply available and it's driving the cost down. That's a good point. Well, with any of that, like if you can grow it yourself. It's so dumb here in Utah. They made it, but like only like one company is allowed to grow it. I'm like, that is such a racket. Oh my gosh, guys. So bad. Mm-mm. Well, I think that I would still so for those like the ones like those, Gary. Um, there's like even if I don't get an oil company, I want to keep track of that sector and have what's the best one, even if it's not a good sector to be in right now, so that if it ever does get to a point where it's good to get, then I could get into it. So I don't think that that's going to be one of my. I think that I'm going to get a technology, an energy, and then one of these consumer entertainment ones, and I might do an airline. Might do an airline. Kind of depends on if any of these other ones that I'm getting have a really good yield, because one of them has to have a good dividend. The majors are good in oil. They've been hammered for 3 years. Yeah, so I was looking at Phillips 66. That one looked pretty good. But I haven't. I've just kind of been collecting a list. So if you have any stocks that you think, or sectors, if you think that there's a sector that you think would do really well that I don't have on there. So here's all of my sectors, but um, then let me know. And I'll add it. But I'm gonna go back through and I'm gonna do like the deep dive. Like looking at their balance sheets and trying to figure out who the best of breed is. UK coronavirus cases rise to 14,579 from 11,658 on March 26th. That's probably what caused that. Okay. So now it's telling me I could go short again. Venezuela is projected to be hit hard by the virus that will affect their oil production. Do you read 10K statements? Yeah, I mean I'm still kind of getting into it, so I don't remember all of the sheets that I get, but when I really start to get into one, I'm gonna want to be reading all their financial statements. Um, Definitely like their earnings reports and earnings calls and stuff like that. Because I want to have stocks that I can own for 10 years. Is really what I want to do. I want to have 5 stocks, and I want to be holding them on a time frame of 5 to 10 years. But I want to actively manage it too, which means that as we come up, I'll take some profits, and when we come down, I'll buy some more. And if one company goes bad, I'll ditch it. Mm-mm. It's kind of unfortunate when I got out of that trade. It was pretty close to the end, so I really shouldn't have really played that badly. Didn't really give me a solid entry short either. Are you are taking a value approach? Yes. Well, it's a fundamentals approach. I mean, I think that it's going to be top down. That's what I would call it, as a top down. So I'm going to look at the fundamentals of the economy to determine which sectors I want to be in the most, and then I'm going to go down into individual companies to determine what the best of breed is, look at all of their financials, and then do some some technical analysis to determine, to verify what I'm seeing. And then if you are ditching because some bad performance is not value. Well, what I mean is like, um, if something changes in the economy that makes that sector no longer good, then I'm going to get rid of it. You know, like if I get into energy stocks, if I buy one of these nuclear energy companies and then um, there's a coup in the United States and Bernie Sanders takes over and he bans all nuclear energy, then I'm probably not gonna hold that. Sounds like a lot of work. Why not just trade the ES NISAC? So there's a common misconception when it comes to day trading that day trading is more profitable than buy and hold investing, and that's not the case. Day trading is you're not going to make as much. Quite frankly, you just can't, because you imagine all if you're in it all of the time and you get all of those gains when it goes, all of those big moves, versus when you're not in it all the time, you're going to miss one, right? How often are you like, you miss a really good swing and you're like, oh, like even here, like could have caught a little bit more of that short, missed it, a little disappointed. Um, so buy and hold investing will almost always net you more. So why would you day trade? Well, the reason you day trade is because day trading can provide income every day on a consistent basis that can be consistent enough for you to pay your monthly bills with. So my approach is I want to do both. I want to have a long-term portfolio. I want to scalp to inform my view of the markets. But the scalping isn't the real moneymaker, it's the long-term investing. Make sense? Seth has 3 kids, 2 dogs, 2 birds, and a rabbit, but through college he has to take his futures profits and buy long term. Oh, you forgot I have 6 chickens too, Gary. 6 chickens. Okay, so they're coming back up here. This is one I might be able to take. Okay. Oh, did it just give it to me long that time? Yeah, it did. That's interesting. So did I read that one backwards? Well, let's not dally with it. Yeah. Momo had a great run. It's time for value to be in fashion. Yeah. I really believe I could be totally crazy, but I really believe that the popularity of index funds is going to decline. I think that so many people got screwed on those this time around that a lot of people are going to say, you know what, there are reasons to buy individual stocks or mutual funds. Of course, they stop me out and then they go for it. Well, I can try and make it back here. Can try taking it again if they would be so kind. right. Damn it. No, that one did not play out the way that I wanted it to at all. One approach to choosing futures might be to afford your way to hedge your stock portfolio. Cheaper and easier to build a short position with futures and offset pullback in your stocks. Oh, that's a good point too. I mean, I'd like to play them all the different ways, but I feel like that I have a much better idea of what the market as a whole is doing when I'm watching a DOM, and that can inform the long-term investing. Mm-mm-mm. I've had a hard time believing that buy and hold can make you as much money as catching a 20-point runner on several contracts in the E-mini. That is like taking day trading profits and investing in Kodak. Well, it depends on how good your strategy is, I suppose, and how much you leverage up. But man, been trying to play this particular line. It hasn't been going so hot. The indexing passive ETFs and poorly constructed ETFs are so bad. Not all, but so many millennials are in passive style funds. Yikes. But I don't know what I don't know, so take that in stride. Well, so like think of it this way: like if you're really good at this, you can maybe now keep in mind when you're working with small amounts, it's a little bit different. But like, let's say they have like 10,000, and over the course of a year, you make 50% of that. You're doing pretty damn good. You say you can invest in stocks by looking at your DOM. Wow. Well, no, I think that I have a much better clue about what the market thinks about certain things when I can actually see all the orders hidden, you know. If you're not, a lot of the retail, let's say the retail buy and hold investors, they'll see a move and they think, "Oh, well, it was because of X or Y," and I can look at it and I can say, "Well, yeah, but this is where the orders were and this is where there was action and this move was probably just positioning and this move wasn't." And I'm telling you, the scalpers really understand the market. And you can scalp, but you can also be making really smart buy and hold decisions on that too. And you really should, regardless of anything, you really should have a long-term investment strategy of some sort. See, here it is. Yeah, okay, I guess it was a little lower than I thought, but man. And what the hell does that have to do with the stock that you want to own? Well, I think that you'll be able to get a better price on that stock. You can be sure if you bought it and you hold at 3,200, you lost money, and God knows how much it's going to take to be even. Yeah, but um, you're going to have a much better idea of that 3,200 is maybe not the best place to be making a huge buy investment. All right. You went short 25, 25, 75. That's what I was trying to do. And then when they caught me, it's going through me the other way, man. Cool. Looking at it on for 30 minutes around one or two prices level. Yeah, I do. Not to mention all of the just straight up trading experience that you get. You're just going to take what you learn and you're going to apply it to the higher time frames to get better prices on your individual stocks. And also, managing holding those is going to be better too, because then you can start to do stuff like, okay, I can see something forming in the market. I want to hedge myself against it and that sort of thing. And yeah, for 2 hours a day, because it's the two most important hours of the day when all of the news and information comes out. You got a couple of points on that. I'm going to see if I can't get that. Nice short ace. I was starting a recorder and missed it. Yeah, I'm wondering because on that one, looks like you took the profit really quick on that one. Because they definitely gave it to us, but it was like super finicky. It's being super finicky on this one too, to be honest. Hope your weekend and your bed includes some fun. Yeah, I'll see you next week, guys. Well, the outlook for me here, or the trends, all still look down. They're being a little difficult. I guess I got to go back to that thing that sometimes when they're being difficult like that, that's a good thing. Hmm. Cool. This one I'm not gonna hold because I didn't necessarily have a wider time frame set up that tells me that it's really gonna fall apart here. We're kind of in the value area of sorts. I've been wearing these headphones too long. We're touching my ears. Mm-mm. We tested the multi-period candles and they seem to be working all right. Cool. Because we are in Utah, it's spelled Corona 19. I just don't like, oh, he did it really? Uh, hmm. Okay, I can fix that, John. I know how to fix that. I can just we can add um a boolean to determine if the wicks are the same color as the outside outline. I can fix it. I hope so. Every time that I try and change those, I run into these weird issues and I have to like mess this up. But the reason that I did it the way, well, it'll be better this way anyways. Because there was all this stuff. Here's the I'll show you. I'll just pull up the, this is 8:30. It's 8:30 anyways. Did you see the minution to write the rules and regulations for digital currencies and cryptos are getting interesting? Yeah. Well, I think that they're going to make a U.S. crypto though. Like that's the thing. I don't know if Bitcoin is such a great investment if the United States is going to make a crypto. Okay. So in here, well, up here at the top, there's all this stuff. So like here, I'm making a rectangle and a vector that I use to draw things. The anti-alias mode. And before there was also a bunch of stuff to do with the brushes and the colors. And, you may have to manage all of the resources correctly for all of the colors. Well, this thing, these, what they call what do they call it? They call it a stroke. They have this type called a stroke. So I got the stroke wick down, wick up, stroke high-low style up and down. Oh, and then there's also the strokes for the outside color and stuff. So those stroke objects handle all of that stuff for you, and you just have to set the render target correctly so that it knows where it's rendering to. So you probably could come in here and for the wicks, and I put wicks into its own thing, right? Yeah. So here you could just say, you just pass a different stroke into it. So pass, what is it? Just pass in brush or brush. Yeah, just pass in brush. Oh no, wait, that won't work. So we're going to be more complicated for you than that. Wait, where do I set brush? Dun 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 dun. Well, it's fixable still. You just have to tell it to pass in. Yeah, I probably over-engineered it for you. Stroke, width, style, brush. Well, anyways, we can still fix it. Why did you have to put in two wick width settings and why not one choice for both? Just because it's a part of the stroke property type, and I wanted the stroke to manage all of the memory stuff for me. That seemed to be more efficient and cleaner. The code was definitely cleaner. Like I was able to remove so much junk from up here. Oh, wait a second. What happened? I am so confused. I got out of that trade. I guess I would had 2 contracts on, and I want out of it. Okay. When something like that happens to you, it's best to just not try and save it and just get out of it. Anyways, do I hear the sound of sun conures in the morning? Yep. I had them downstairs, so they weren't as loud. Satoshi is rolling in his hologram grave right. Yeah. Yeah, your other indicator doesn't change the wick color. That's the thing. It's you really probably don't want the wicks to be drawn a different color, do you? But I guess the fast change, the quick fix is brush, draw wicks, brush, and then draw wicks, brush, and then they would match the up or down, or whatever. Is it this one? Stroke. That's actually stroke.brush dx. Stroke 2.brush dx. And this, yeah, that's a brush. Okay, cool. And then that would fix it. Or add a Boolean about which they pick, so that if you wanted to set the wicks differently. I don't think you ever would, but it was just cleaner to do it that way. Let's compile it. Yeah, I'll paste that one in. Try that. Something like that. Now, the split side of it is that you could make the indicator change make that the indicator specific to that chart style too, and change the wicks different colors and stuff like that. But I don't know. Oh, the other thing is that doing it that way allowed us to have a dotted wick, which didn't matter for that, but there was some other things I was trying to do where it mattered. Brannigan Barrett tweets, sadly, the virus will need to force some humility on those who choose to stick with their baseless assumptions. Responding to L. Ram. Wait, what were they talking about? Medical professionals, the unemployed, small business owners, and policymakers grasp the enormity of the moment, a generation-defining one. I worry that too many in markets treat this as something that they can model easily. Virtually all the underlying assumptions have been upended. Oh, it's so true, right? It's just what I've been talking about all morning. It's just like, how can people be so sure they know what is going to happen? Sorry, I missed out. What did you change? I changed it so that the outline block is colored the same as the hierarchy. Data series. So now, if I change the wick and I make it white, smoky, or something like that, it should still be the same as the outline. This is a bad chart to do it on. Cancel. Let's do it on this chart. Okay. So if I, 10 minutes. Yeah. 10 minutes. If I set a wick to be white, it will show up, but it should be, oh my gosh. Maybe it didn't work. Do you want it to be, well, this is where it gets kind of weird, is that you have all these different colors, right? Like I have different colors for the background and the outline of it and the up and the down. Oh yeah, sorry. Crap. That shouldn't have worked. Oh. I need to fix this. Brush. Brush. Okay. I didn't finish the change. Okay. So now when I come in here and I set that, I don't know if you can see that little white line there, but if I change the wick up to be color and I click apply, it'll still be blue. Oh, it just doesn't even display. Oh, because I have the outlines to be transparent on this. So I have to also change this to be white. And now you see it. So this one, ignore that first one. This one will do it the way that you want it to do. And I will think about what the best way is to make it an option. I could make it, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a checkbox so that you can say, color everything separately. You know, I'll make one of those checkboxes where if you check it, then all of these other properties show up. That's what I should do. I did good with that trade when I don't know why. That says that the max quantity was 4. So I don't know what I did there, but that was all wrong. Shouldn't have done that. Wynn says I'm reclusive and I don't miss anything social. We are in a lovely rural community, and if need be, I could gather firewood and water. Yeah. Well, wasn't that it was. He's John says whatever you do, you should be trying to simplify it, not make it more confusing. Well, I had to make it more confusing to get certain things that we wanted to look. Now you could, what I'll do is I have it like this. Here's a 10-minute. Yeah, so right now I have what? I have colors for down bars, up bars, down bars, outline, up bars, outline. Those were always there, but kind of hidden from you. High, low, outline, and the wick. So you got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So you got like 8 different properties. What I should do is I should, by default, it will only show you these two. And then it'll only show you these two, and then there will be 2 checkboxes. If you check the high-low outline bit, then these will show up. And then if you do the outline in Wix, then these will show up. I wonder if it's possible to change these strokes to say, don't show the color. I know there was a property of some sort like that. Wick up dot is opacity visible. Bro, yeah. And that was the other thing, is that I wanted to make it so that like the wick was configurable, but you don't want to configure the color separately with it. But that's where I'm saying, that's why I was saying these properties are all like modifiable. So I will make it so that it's easier to configure, and so that you can get this one color to control all of these other colors. But you could potentially use your indicator and say, okay, I will only color the wicks differently if it's an inside bar. Something like that. I don't think that you would want to do that, but it would be possible. It's possible, is all I'm saying. Mm, mm, mm. Because who was it? Somebody else wanted them colored differently. I don't even remember anymore. Oh, well, what you've done is fine the way it is. Yeah, the one that I sent you. Yeah, it's fine. It's just going to be, the way that I have it is going to be confusing to people, to some people maybe, because when they come in here and they look at this and they say, oh, this wick up property doesn't do anything. Now that I've changed it, it's not gonna, see, doesn't show up. This wick up color doesn't change anything. But for you, it doesn't matter. Oh, we can do that later today. I'm going to, I got, some stuff to do in this morning. Usually on Friday, I do open source stuff, and my text to speech robot is open source. So, well, my wife also has a doctor's appointment at like 1, so I'm going to wait until after that. But then after that, I'm probably going to stream again, and I'm going to try and work on the robot during that time. And we can mess around with the indicators too. There's some things, because the next thing that I wanted was, I would really like to get a volume profile in each box like this. Well, apparently that's really hard to do. their volume profile indicator does not like it. I'm wondering if I can just draw it with, if I can figure out what the width of this bar is and then draw it in here. I don't think I'd make it a property of the bar, but it would be an indicator that would be pretty reliant on this bar type. Not that it would be, I don't know. I don't know if I'm actually going to do that, because I don't think that it would be like incredibly useful. I got something to work that was similar, and when I looked at it, it was just kind of noise, but I think it just would be really cool. You know what I mean? Have you called the doctor's office to see if they're still? Yes. Oh, yes, definitely they have. They tried to reschedule her, but she needs to go. So they need to look at her, make sure that she is healing correctly. Well, you know what? They had some pretty good downside today. I'm a little surprised that they're finding balance around this 25 area. I'm sure that they will move later in the day. Maybe there will be a puke, because I really feel like that 24.50 is a more fair price, but probably it doesn't matter. So I think that's about it. Good stream today, guys. Hopefully we're a little bit more upbeat. Yeah, we traded okay. I really don't like that I had to do that one twice before I got it, but it's okay. It's okay in the end. We played it a lot better. There's going to be those spots where it gets close. I think that one, where was it? Where was that one? It was after the open. Was it around here? Yeah, it was around here. Oh, yeah. See, when it came back into that 25 area, I did not see that. But John saw the... okay, so probably we should take a note on that, huh? What should we say? Where should we put that? Trade checklist. Measured moves or retracements. Balance. Area. Is this a balance area? So if that's the end of a measured move or a retracement, we probably don't want to take it. So we have to say yes. No. Cool. Stay inside if you can. You can go into your backyard, Win. It's okay to go into your backyard. It only travels 6 feet, right? That's one of the things that people have been saying that like kind of irks me, because I don't think that matches up with what people have been told. But I'm sure people will disagree with me. But it's actually better for your health to get outside a little bit. So get outside. Just don't go into a public area or get anywhere near other people. Okay. I'll see you guys next week. And in the meantime, stay profitable. Oh, well, I'll see you this afternoon. And in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.